Georgia, the city by the sea. This issue of flooding is deeply personal for me. And for folks I know, including, my own family, my own hometown. An analysis from the Union of Concerned Scientists noted that the Savannah area experiences some level of flooding approximately 10 times a year. Just 40 years ago, that was 5 times a year. By 2030, they're predicting 30 coastal flooding events per year and 100 flooding events by 2045. I'm extremely concerned about the impact of these flooding events, particularly on low-income communities and their vulnerability to climate change. This issue is particularly timely for Georgia's coastal communities. We all kind of shaking our boots this time of year, the closer we get to the hurricane season. Mr. Bergenis, how will increased flooding events driven by climate change affect coastal communities like Savannah? Particularly, how will a greater frequency of these events affect low-income communities near the coast?
Well, Senator, thank you for the question. And of course, when we think of low-income communities, we immediately understand that that is the segment of the population that is the least resilient to flooding. And so, where we may have had a big flood that would affect folks occasionally, by having more repetitive flooding for folks low income, it will significantly degrade, I think, their quality of life, especially if we don't help support through mitigation and also through things like affordability programs for flood insurance, mean tested affordability. So we need to bring to bear all the resources, the mitigation resources, affordability assistance, and also build capacity so that they can mitigate and enjoy the same benefits of the NFIP that others do.
Right. So around this issue of both vulnerability and affordability, as you know, a 2018 FEMA report found that the majority of homeowners who live in high-risk flood zones without flood insurance, were, not surprisingly, were low income and may be deterred from buying coverage due to expensive flood insurance prices. I understand the many considerations that led to FEMA's decision to enact a new pricing risk model for flood insurance, but I'm concerned that this new pricing model will affect low-income communities and flood zones, those that have the least amount of resources. Mr. Sternhill and Ms. Smith, Congress has been grappling with flood insurance affordability for many years, and this new pricing structure is intended to contain the federal cost of flood insurance. But do we risk unintentionally exacerbating the racial and socioeconomic disparities that already exist?
Yes, Senator, I think we do. And part of the difficulty with this, as you heard from Senator Kennedy previously, is we don't know exactly where this new risk rating program will land and whether it will be concentrated predominantly in communities that are low income or majority minority, or those that have been most disadvantaged. And that's one of the things that's most concerning. Even apart from this revised rate structure, the affordability challenge would be the same. The rates are going to continue to go up, but for the statutory limits on annual rate increases, people would see the rates going up even further. And we know with climate change and with new maps coming in, that affordability concern is going to be exacerbated. And so we need to find a good model that looks at how we can do affordability directly for that homeowner, and at the same time bring to bear the resources of the federal government and local government to mitigate more broadly, because we can't just do it home by home. We need to do a community level, and we need to pull together as a nation and communities to actually ensure we can protect these residents, keep them in their home, and or get them somewhere safer and ensure they maintain their assets.
So go ahead. Yes, Ms. Sternhill.
Yes. Senator, this is Ms. Smith, and I would say that we can do both of these things, and that actually risk rating 2.0 in some respects helps those people who are least able, who have policies now and have been paying too much for the higher, in order to cross-subsidize the higher priced homes. But I think we can then do an affordability program on top of that that addresses both rate and assistance for mitigation. And I think if we allow the FEMA to look at social vulnerability as one of the factors in giving grants, this will help solve the problem.
So, you know, in as much as most folks have a majority of their wealth in their home, this obviously has implications for the racial wealth gap, and underscores the need for public policy that ensures that everybody who needs or wants flood insurance can get it. And it seems to me that we have an obligation in Congress to make sure that that's the case. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Warnock. Senator Daines from Montana is recognized for 5 minutes, and Senator